What's going on, everyone? Darkwater here, and welcome back to Model Railway Easily. This time we are working on the left half of the board here. I decided to put a single vacation, like little house, just kind of cabiny next to the water here. Maybe somebody uses it for a little getaway. Tried a couple different houses, finally settled on this one. Scrolling through it, ended up seeing the pillar as I was looking for the pier here. Wanted the pier to just kind of stick out into the water a little bit, do a little bit of terrain paint underneath it to kind of give it a little bit of a sandy beach feel. I end up using the darker brown. Still not 100% sold on it, but it doesn't look horrific. It gives it more of a kind of a wet, dirty sand look to it, which isn't too bad. We do some other terrain paint and a bunch of trees on the houses, but I realized that these pillars actually go underneath the train tracks here, and these were a little bit of a nuisance to put in. Um, but I do get three on each, and then I end up adding a fourth one towards the very end. Just to, it didn't look necessarily balanced for the front trestle. Um, and then about halfway through this video, I play a little bit with the terrain, and anytime you mess with the terrain a little bit, it sinks all of those all the way back down, and I don't know why, and it's kind of annoying. But we do go back and get that fixed. Again, have to contend with the curve here, but luckily able to adjust them fairly easily. It's just a matter of popping it through the track, adjusting it so it's kind of perpendicular to the track, and then sinking it back down. So not too horrific, and I think it really kind of ties it together. Personally, I kind of would have wanted some like wooden ones as well, but these they serve the purpose that it's going to hold up the trains as they go past. Um, do a small beach in the very back corner there later on in this video to maybe the folks that live in the little cabin swim out underneath the train tracks and kind of camp out on the little little beachy area. There's some rocks over there that they can jump into. Uh, yeah, here's where I do a little bit of the terrain work and regret it immediately. You can see at the back right there the those poles that I just spent some time getting perfectly aligned sank back down. But that little flat area I used to basically do a little walking path up so that people can basically just do take a little hike into the hills there, and I'll add in a dirt path that they can take up and around, and then we'll probably we'll put somebody up there just kind of overlooking the water at some point. But it gives it a little bit more of a natural feel. I also think though that part of this path that I just added in is sideways on the hill, but that's okay. But just kind of do a loop around the mesa there, and then just bring it back down. Like maybe whenever they're out there, once a morning they get up and they go for a morning walk to just kind of meditate on what the day is going to be, and they overlook the water there and enjoy the morning sunrise. Uh, do some little bit of paint here. I think I go and add in some of the darker uh, some of the darker brown, yeah, the darker charcoal, I guess. Some of the some of the rockier area there to add it in. I think later on I do go back and even fine tune that a little bit further. But then we grab a bunch of trees and I copy paste twice, and that was a bad idea because then all the trees just absolutely get shoved together, and that's not at all what I wanted. But we basically tree that hill behind here once we get all the posts back up. Could not get those once they were sank down into the water. It's very difficult to retrieve. So we grabbed the trees, and then I copied it and immediately pasted it, and so now those trees are just doubled up, and I end up deleting out some of them because that feels just way too dense of a forest. A lot denser than I would have wanted. So we thin out the trees, and we thin out the trees over here where we pasted it. Um, and then we start to fill in the trees on the far side. Still dealing with those rocks, apparently. Um, but we're going to do some trees on the left-hand side. We're going to do basically a dirt road to the cabin, as well as extend out the dirt road on the opposite side where the coal mine is. So we'll extend that out in the next video. So here I safely grabbed some other trees that are a little bit thinner and still have the rocks that have to contend with as well. I don't do that many trees along the slope just because I don't think that it would necessarily end up along the slope like that. So looking at this, I was trying to figure out what am I doing on that little beachy area in the back there. So decide to I start off with the lighter color, but I think I end up doing some rocks here that people could climb up on and then just jump in. And then later I go back and touch it up with that darker gray color instead. And I kind of follow that darker gray going around the water level. So basically where the water beats the ground, I kind of have that like a water levels have changed. It kind of erodes some of the grass away and erodes some of the loose dirt. So you're just kind of getting some of the more granite esque rocks. And so do a little bit up on the sides, kind of where the water might drain down and wash some of the dirt away. And then we add in some of the flat rocks in here as well, and redo the paint several times apparently. But the next video is basically finishing off the board, doing most of the front of the board, and that will be it for this build. It's a shorter build. Looking, I have ideas in my head for a future one, possibly back on the massive board again, but we'll see on that. Add a couple more rocks underneath both of the bridges there, and then add another support being held up by some of those rocks. But that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys for being here. Cinematics coming up next, and as always, I hope you guys have yourselves an amazing day.